Yes. Yeah. Confused.
Utaenda kwa barabara hii, utaita utaita akakuja kujua anapeleka hospitali, kuingia hospitali, utaambiwa hizi kutengenezwa bila barua ya uongozi hapa. Utaenda kwa police station, utapewa uongozi hapa, utaenda hospitali wanatengeneza.
Yes. Do you participate in that clip? No. Now, in your affidavit, what I know is that one of the witnesses. Yes. Would you know what happened to him? Huh? What happened to him on the election day?
He was shot.
Yes. Which station?
At Kaunga.
At Kaunga. In a nutshell, you give evidence and said that there was violence on the election day. Is that the evidence?
Yeah, it was Wednesday, so many polling. This is one of them.
I want you to play one more clip. What can you see at that clip?
I can see a front of vehicle, number plates.
I see. Next, where is the vehicle headed to?
To Kanyambora police station.
Do you know this police station?
Yeah, I know.
See? What are the voices you're hearing?
I think there's a commotion, and what they are trying to do is that, as we said earlier on, they are trying to make sure that there are not vehicles come from outside to enter into the communication. So this vehicle was not supposed to enter that communication, but the occupant was supposed to leave it outside and then enter.
So, in a nutshell, I don't want to take you through all the clips to save of time. Would you wish the court to adapt the affidavit of the evidence, please?
Yes.
My Lord, I want to donate my time to my colleagues. My lord, the affidavit is adopted and the evidence attached. I already did it for him. Yes. Mr. Witness, which political party were you running with?
Democratic Party.
And which political party was the winner running with? Which? The political party. The person declared the winner. Which was the political party that sponsored it? UDA. What is the nexus between, or what is the connection between UDA and CS Roko?
CS Roko is a state officer appointed by that government.
Which government?
The Kenya Kwanza government.
The Kenya Kwanza government. Which is the political party sponsoring the Kenya Kwanza government?
UDA.
UDA. You recall you indicated that there was a police station called Gatibori where you said it was a hell of a police station, correct?
Yes.
Why did you describe that police station as a hell of a polling station?
Because according to the agents, my agents, if I may report what they say, because I was not in that polling station.
Yes.
Is that first there was a directive from the CS that county should not start before you arrive.
Yes.
And that is what was said by the presiding officer.
Was that activated? Was that directive implemented?
It was implemented.
Who implemented that directive?
The presiding officer.
The presiding officer.
Yes.
What is a presiding officer supposed to apply when it comes to the issues of an election?
In fact, it should be even the supervisor of that polling station.
I'm talking about two principles here, impartiality and impartiality. What is he or she supposed to apply?
Impartial.
Impartial. You spoke about assisted voters, correct?
Yeah.
What was the issue about the assisted voters in the election?
The number was too high.
The number was too high. Do you have specific polling stations where the assisted voters number was too high?
Like Gangara polling station.
Like Gangara polling station. What was the difference between Gangara?
Gangara. Yeah.
Gangara. Who won in that particular polling station between you and the fourth respondent?
Myself.
You won. Which other polling station had more assisted voters?
Mbeere polling station. Mbeere.
Do you have any doubts in respect of the votes cast in that particular polling, those two particular polling stations?
Yes, because the counting was being done while people had been sent out.
The count. What exactly do you mean, Mr. Witness?
What I'm saying is that at Mbeere polling station, the counting, when the counting was done, even one of the agents was dropped along the way. The agent who wanted to accompany the ballot boxes to the tallying center, he was left on the way.
And what was the difference of the votes between yourself and the fourth respondent in this particular polling stations? Have you narrated it in your petition?
Yes. She's there.
Could you point the court to that particular paragraph?
114 paragraph.
Who was assisting these voters?
There was a person who was assigned. They were coming outside with a person who was assigned to come and assist them. Even if you know right, yes. There was a person who was accompanying you so that you vote in his presence, so that they report someone that indeed he has elected somebody a certain candidate.
You understand, Mr. Witness, that before the elections, there is always an induction process that takes place, correct? Parties are taken through the whole process of the election, what we expect at the polling station, correct? Are you aware whether or not in a polling station there ought to be maintained a polls days diary?
Yes.
Where these incidences are supposed to be recorded, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware whether or not these incidences were recorded in that polls days diary?
No.
If you want to know whether these incidences were recorded, what would you wish the court to do?
If they were not recorded, I think we can only do a recount of votes, a certain number of votes that were cast.
Number two, in respect to the voters' days diary, the polls days diary, did you bring them before the court, the polls days diary? Do you have them before the court? You don't have them, correct?
Yes.
Who is the custodians of those polls days diary?
The IBC.
The IBC. Let me rephrase the question again. How are you able to tell whether or not these incidences were recorded on the polls days diary? Utaweza kueleza vipi ya kwamba hizi matukio yaliweza kunakiliwa katika kile kitabu?
Can't tell.
You can't tell. Basi unakumbuka ulikuwa na ombi hapa mahakamani ambapo ulikuwa unaomba mahakama iweze kuchunguza kupitia njia ya scrutiny ya ile polls diary. Unakumbuka?
Yes.
Hilo ombi bado uko nalo mpaka sasa hivi?
Uko nalo.
Je, katika hii maneno ya Kimskit unaweza kudhibitisha kwamba kana kwamba kila mtu aliweza kupitia katika ile Kimskit? Are you able to confirm whether all voters were verified and okayed by the Kimskit?
No.
If you want to confirm whether all voters were verified and okayed by the Kimskit, what would you wish the court to do for you?
At least a recount of votes so that anyone who passed through the Kimskit vis-a-vis the votes in the box, they should match.
Have you made an application before this court for the scrutiny of the Kimskit?
Yes.
Would you still wish to maintain that prayer?
Yes.
For example, you spoke about the Kimskit in specific polling stations, you remember?
Yes.
What is your evidence about those particular Kimskit and in which polling station?
One is Chicago Social Hall.
Chicago Social Hall.
Yes.
What is your issue of the Kimskit in that particular polling station?
Because there were two persons who were allowed to vote and they were not cleared on the Kimskit.
There were two people who were allowed to vote and
Yes.
were not cleared by the Kimskit.
Yes.
Are you able to tell whether those are the only individuals who voted or there could be others who voted through that system?
There could have been others because in the absence of a manual register, anyone could have voted.
Is that therefore the reason why you would wish the court to order for the scrutiny of those particular polling stations?
Yes.
You recall you indicated that there were issues of the police, correct?
Yeah.
Who was in control of these police officers? Is it the IBC or the IG? From whom were they taking command from?
Police officers during that day could take command even from the state officers.
The state officers. Would you kindly specify the state officers in this respect?
There are the CS.
Which CS in particular did you witness or your agents witnessed commanding the police?
The CS room.
CS room. Were these police officers in a particular ward, concentrated in a particular ward, or were they widespread?
Widespread.
Would you give an approximate how many police officers were in each and every polling station, if you may remember?
There were those police officers in uniform, but then there were those police officers who are not in uniform.
Yes.
Most of the police officers in uniform, only that they could act only on orders. But
it's okay. I abandon that. I want to abandon that line. I want to actually abandon it. Your objection will have no meaning there. Did you confirm whether or not these instances of violence were recorded in the post days diary?
they were not.
If you would wish to confirm whether they were recorded in the post days diary, what is the best way to do that issue? What's the best way of confirming whether or not they were recorded?
I don't believe it was a say that was not recorded. He has said that the violence is not recorded in the diaries.
Is that a situation that you'd wish to confirm right now, or you'd wish to have the scrutiny of the post days diary ordered by this court?
Yes.
And what was the difference between your votes and the winner's votes?
Around 460.
Sorry?
460.
460. 469.
Yeah.
Would I be correct to say that the margin is so small between the winner and yourself?
Yes, it is.
Do you have evidence or witnesses that you have lined up to come and confirm all these incidences of violence before this court?
Yes, they are there.
For example, in respect to the issue of category, where we have just watched a clip, have you lined up any witness to come and testify to that effect?
Yes, they are there.
Do you recall that the court directed that the materials be stopped within the prison of the court?
Yes.
My Lord, with your kind permission, I don't think we have seen any clip on Gitibori, so I think the question is misleading.
The clips are watched. Is there a clip on the board?
No.
So then I rephrase my Lord. But the clip on the violence, they checked with the man in the hand. So that is Kanyongora, correct?
That was Kaungo.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for the correction, my Lord. May I rephrase the question? Yes, my Lord. And thank you. We'll enjoy with the benefit from his knowledge. May I rephrase that question? Which polling station was the clip, does that clip relate to?
Which clip?
The clip with the gentleman who says he was shot.
That was Kaunga.
Kaum. Have you summoned or invited any witness to testify to that effect?
Yes, they are there.
Was that a one occasion, or the violence was widespread within that particular polling station?
Violence was widespread even in other polling stations.
What was so unique about this? Is there anything that was so unique about this violence?
The one at Kaungo,
No, the entire violence they've described.
yeah, the unique thing with this violence is that mostly this violence was caused by the state officers. Whenever state officers came in, there was violence.
There was violence. Did that violence, in your knowledge, affect the whole process of the elections, and if yes, how?
Yes, it could affect them because one, it was creating fear. Because those voters who would want maybe to come and vote afterwards, some would keep away. And again, number two, that violence could create room to stop votes.
As I finalize, geographically, do you come from the same region with the fourth respondent in terms of words?
No.
Which ward does he?
He comes from
came
Dawa, I come from Momenji.
He comes from?
Dawa, what?
Yes.
I come from Momenji.
He comes from Mbeere. And how, in those two particular wards, how was violence manifested?
In fact, violence was mostly seen in Dawa ward and parts of Irregularities.
Parts of Mbeere.
And Dawa ward.
Who was the beneficiary of this violence?
The fourth respondent.
The fourth respondent. You have no further questions?
Just 2 or 3 questions. My name is Kirago Aduta. And Newton, I would just like to clarify a few things that I would like some clarity on. You have talked at length about state officers being involved in this election. And at some point you mentioned a name in that context, CS Wahome. I didn't get anything more than that. Who is that?
CS Wahome, this is a report that I got from my agents, and which also we have witnesses.
Or do you have full names, or who is this person who you call CS Wahome?
Unless I refer, I don't know the full names.
But in the context of being a state officer, what state office does this person hold?
She's a cabinet secretary.
She's a cabinet secretary, yes. You know her other name?
Unless I refer, Your Honor.
Okay. CS is a cabinet secretary called Wahome. I don't believe we have to. You also mentioned another person called...
She's Honorable Alice Wahome.
Honorable Alice Wahome.
Yes. Cabinet Secretary in charge of lands, public works, housing, and urban development.
Thank you. You also mentioned the Member of Parliament for Runyenjes. That's how you left it. Who is that?
That is Honorable Mushani.
Do you know the two names already?
But popularly known as Karemba.
Honorable Mushaki.
Information was getting it from my agents at Kaungu.
I'm just concerned about the names. So, is the Member of Parliament for Runyenjes called Karemba? Mushaki Karemba. You also talked about someone called Honorable Wamombi. Again, who is that?
Honorable Eric Wamombi, a member of the UNDA, and from Mbeere constituency.
Is the Member of Parliament for Mbeere constituency. Thank you. Did you also mention the governor? You mentioned the word governor.
Yeah, I mentioned the one governor.
The governor for which county?
The governor for Embu County.
Governor for Embu County. And her name?
Honorable Cecily Mbeere.
Honorable Cecily Mbeere. And my question then arises from those 4 names that you have given. To the best of your knowledge, are they voters in Mbeere North constituency? Or is any one of them a voter in Mbeere North constituency?
We are not voters save for Honorable.
And as a candidate and a person who has been in this constituency, were you made aware whether any of them was an official of IEBC during these elections?
No.
would you know whether they were an agent of any of the candidates? Firstly, was any of them your agent?
They were not my agents, but they were agents of my opponent.
They were agents?
Of my opponent.
You sure about that?
Yes, because they were campaigning for him.
Are you asking about formal agents?
Yes.
Recognized by EDC or agents of people who are placing?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you so much for that, because I was to do a follow-up question. And Newton, I want to put it this way. There are those agents whose names who got appointment letters to be agents of a candidate or a party. Would you know whether any of them had such a letter for purposes of this by-election?
I don't think.
You don't think so? And as a candidate, were you ever informed of any role that these 4 individuals were to play in these by-elections?
Not at all.
I want to come to a polling station called Gitivuri polling station.
Yes.
You said there was chaos. I don't want to take you through that again. So Gitivuri is a primary school, right?
Yeah.
Does it have more than 1 polling stations?
It's on Dapper Street.
Sorry?
Dapper Street. Polling station 1 and 2.
It has 2 polling stations. You must be aware that counting and tallying is done per polling station.
Yes.
Is that what happened in this polling center?
No.
What happened?
When violence erupted, they tried an attempt to save the votes, and then they were abandoned somewhere in a car which was parked within the compound. Later, when they were brought back, they were counted in polling station number 2, all of them, supervised by the CS. Minus our agents.
Your vote still do?
Yes.